particularly in Solana. It's obviously grown and evolved a bunch since then, but self-custody as the central tenet around a lot of why we're here, I think is kind of where we're coming from and why we went down that path.
That's awesome. And things got really interesting when you minted Madladz NFT, and it quickly became #1 NFT on Solana. Could you share some of the ventures that you guys had through Madladz, and why did you decide to do NFT?
Yeah, so going back to the Madladz mint, we had minted at the bottom of the post-FTX bear market, particularly the Solana bear market, where the network was on the ground, it was knocked out.
It was a sad time.
People were kicking it on the ground, spitting in its face. It was a really dark time. A lot of the NFTs were the golden child of the network. There's incredible businesses like Magic Eden and Tensor and Hyperspace and others that were born out of the NFT bull cycle. And it really was what made, I think, the network culturally relevant in a way, and culturally robust and rich in a way that I think most other networks, basically all other networks other than Bitcoin and Ethereum have, been unable to reach. And the Madladz mint was unique in the sense that we had the ability to customize it beginning to end. I think a lot of people at the time were really used to these launch pads, but where you have this cookie cutter approach to minting an NFT for the first time. But an NFT mint is probably the most important point in time for a project, where you have an opportunity to tell your story, where the entire world is looking at you in a way that is really hard to replicate after you've built the project. And so we always went into the mint from the perspective of this is the most important moment for Madladz. We're going to kind of show the world kind of how we're different, what we're excited about, showcase our products, and really take advantage of the attention. And so we built this entire experience from beginning to the end, including the whitelist. So before we even got to the mint, we had a Discord filled with a bunch of ravenous NFT lovers around the world, people that were downloading the wallets, downloading the app, playing, AI-generated guessing games like Dolly and these things were coming out at the time, and basically made a bunch of games where you had to compete to earn the whitelist for the NFT. So we had AI images where you had to guess the prompt. We had noises where you would hear an owl screeching and you had to guess the type of owl. We had these Minecraft 3D puzzle hunts where you had to open up your wallet and go through this world to find these invite codes. We just built a lot of stuff that was able to really, I think, kickstart the storytelling and engagement in a way that I think was pretty unique and new. And I think that is kind of a lot of what led up to the hype. And then, fast forwarding to the actual mint, we built a bunch of stuff. I won't kind of go through kind of the entire experience. But what was unique about the mint experience is about a week before we minted Madladz, I got a message on Telegram from, I don't know what you want to call him, a hacker, a white hat, a black hat, a gray hat, a security researcher, I don't know. But he basically said, Armani, I can take down your site, pay me money. And he was basically extorting me. And I was like, well, no, I'm not going to pay you money. He was just DDoSing us, basically. And so we get to the mint, and this guy comes back, and you kind of see all the requests and the logs. And it was basically this kind of somewhat point-in-time famous battle between us and this group of folks that were just trying to DDoS the mint to prevent us from minting or to simply steal all the NFTs. And so it was kind of this back and forth battle between us and this hacker, or whatever you want to call him, that made it for a pretty dramatic event. We ended up having to delay the mint a day because we weren't able to mint it successfully. Basically, the trade-off was you can mint it now and the guy steals all the NFTs, or you can wait a day and build up more anticipation and mint it successfully. And so we chose to fight the battle, and I think that turned up being the right choice in the end.
Wow. How did you choose the Madladz kind of visual, language, and what's the story of that specific style? Who are you trying? Like, what kind of personas or community were you trying to appeal to?
So I think the metaphor that I like to use to describe this is, it's easy to look at an NFT project, look at an artist, or look at a company or anybody for that matter, any type of creator, and say, oh, this person's a total genius. Like, they sat in this room and thought about this problem really hard, and through their soul or divine intervention, or was able to come up with this really creative thing. But I think the right metaphor is actually much more of like excavation, where if you can think about you're in the world, you're in the desert, and you're digging in the sand, and you find your shovel hits a rock, and then you're like, oh, that's kind of interesting, and so you keep digging in that area, and eventually you uncover this lost civilization of some, building or structure or monolith from an alien civilization. I don't know that was there. You just discovered it, and I think the creative process is very much like that. I think we had a couple design constraints going into Madladz. I think the first design constraint was, above all else, it has to be different. It has to be, there was a bunch of creatures at the time, so something as simple as just use a human. And then, you start thinking about the fashion and the art direction, and then, okay, well, an interesting point in time that everybody really kind of resonates with is like 1930s, 1940s, like British and American gangsters, right? That look of the Peaky Blinders and things like that. I think a lot of credit goes to Tristan for kind of pioneering the anime and that art direction. But it was all about just uncovering these things one